Hello and welcome to the Game Theory Podcast. I'm your host, Sam Vecenie. This is our final off-season preview, Bryce. This is 30 out of 30 donezo as soon as we finish this. And it's probably the shortest one we're going to record because the Oklahoma City Thunder, your NBA champions, have, I think, 15 guys under roster for next season. So they also have 2 draft picks. We will talk about the draft picks. They will have a roster crunch that will be somewhat interesting that we have to talk about. But all of the big decisions here are made. They're super simple. They're easy. There's not really much happening here this summer unless they really try to get ahead of future planning. And they just don't really have to do that until next summer here. So, yeah.
I mean, we've talked about this over and over with this team, how they were set up in such a good situation, how they had flexibility, they have young talent. They are going to have to eventually pay that talent, and those guys have earned it and are going to get their pay. And that's when some of the tough decisions may come along, but that's why you set up with the flexibility you have in terms of draft capital to use to go get the right guys on the right contracts and all of that. So first and foremost, congrats to the Oklahoma City Thunder. As you mentioned, the 2025 NBA champs, much deserved. Start to finish of this NBA season, I feel like, Sam, was
best team in the league.
And we thought they would be awesome in the regular season. In the preseason, they were. We wanted to see what it looked like in the playoffs. I love that they got pushed in multiple series, in the Nuggets series, in the Pacers series. And we saw a lot of growth from them, and they were able to take care of business. And we saw some of the moves that they made pay off, right? Obviously the signing of Isaiah Hartenstein, but I don't know, Sam. Like, I don't think they win without either player, but Alex Caruso trade just looked better and better and better throughout the playoffs.
But we knew that's what it was going to be. 100%. We knew that they were going to slow roll him throughout the regular season, get him healthy for the playoffs, and then let him loose. And He was amazing. If you're here, if you're new to the offseason preview series, this is the last one. You can go back into the back catalog. We have done probably 30 minutes on every single team. This one might be a little bit shorter because the Thunder are as well run and well structured as they are, maybe the best in the league. But by and large, these things have been super fun. Go subscribe to the YouTube channel, Game Theory Podcast with Sam Vecenie. We have, if we're not over 50,000, we're very close to 50,000. We appreciate you guys immensely for coming and hanging out. Please go subscribe over on the podcast feeds. Hit the like button on these videos if you're here. We appreciate you guys immensely for coming and hanging out. But look, this is just kind of a coronation episode, guys. It's not that there aren't like important decisions. Like, it's just that they're not that interesting to talk about. Chet Holmgren and Jalen Williams, like, they have contract extensions that will have to be done this summer. Jalen Williams, to me, is the easiest extension. He's already made All-NBA. There's no circumstance where Oklahoma City is not giving him the All-NBA designation. They're going to have to give him the 30% language, and he's going to have to make All-NBA next season to get it. If he doesn't, he doesn't get it. But this will be a max contract, and this will be the 30% language, I would imagine. It's what it kind of has to be, I think.
I mean, it makes sense. I mean, I don't know. Maybe there's more negotiation in these things than what I think they are, but it just seems pretty cut and dry in terms of what he just did. All NBA. I think
you've won a title as the second best player on a team, and you've already made All NBA. It's the easiest negotiation you will find.
Yeah, I agree. Maybe I'm overlooking something. Maybe I'm making it too easy, but I struggle to see where the debate is.
The Chet one is somewhat more interesting to me.
That one is a little interesting, right?
I would imagine that this is still a max deal. I think it will just be a max deal at the end of the day, because I think they'll just pay Jalen and Chet whatever. And here's the other thing. If Chet was to hit free agency, he's getting a max deal. They just think about it that way.
Sure.
29 other teams line up to give him a max contract, right? So it's going to be a 25% max deal for sure. I do wonder if they can maybe get away with like trying to go a little bit lower because it can go 25 to 30%. Like it's not like you have to agree to the full 30% max window, right? If he was to make all NBA or win defensive player of the year next year, by the way, which is more likely, I think, for Chet, in all honesty, I'm going to guess that it probably just ends up being a deal where they put the 30% language in and that it's a max contract for Chet as well. That would be my prediction.
Yeah, no, I mean, it makes sense. I do. The offense during the playoffs at times was a real question and a struggle. Shot under 30% from three, averaged 15 points a game. The defense was not a struggle or a question mark whatsoever. Even rebounded the ball well for him on the defensive end, almost 7 defensive rebounds per game. I think that is important for Chet specifically. So I could see this one having a little bit more conversation with Chet. And there's obviously been some injury stuff as well, right?
Yes.
And so
that to me is the more interesting piece.
So I was going to ask,
is there any injury like insurance?
So can that stuff go in there? Okay. So that's what I was gonna say. Like, I assume that you could put that language in there. Sam, I mean, it's been very fascinating. Missed his whole rookie year, came back the next year, I guess in his rookie year, and played all 82, right? Mm-hmm. And then 32 this year, but played all 23 playoff games in 30 minutes a night. So it's an interesting conversation with him. I'd be interested to see if there ends up being some injury stuff in the contract.
Maybe that's where you can like come up with the wiggle room is, yes, Chet, if you want the 30%, that's fine. But on years, 4 and 5 on the deal, we have like some injury protection or something like that. You have to play X number of games in order to guarantee the deal. Right.
Yeah. Not the complexity of like Zion Williamson's or whatever, but just like something simple in terms of you need to have played this many games the year prior, or the total 2 seasons prior need to equal this, or whatever it is, right? Something like that. I also want to just like quickly mention these will kick in the year that Isaiah Hartenstein can very easily come off the books. And quite honestly, Lou Dort could as well. I'm not saying that will happen, but if money becomes tight, there's almost $50 million 36 between those two guys.
Yeah. So I think the Chet deal, the only thing here is maybe to Chet, you go, okay, look, we will give you a full 25% max, but no 30% and no injury designation, right? Like, no injury protections or anything. Or you can take the language where you have the 30% max potential, but we get something on the back end in terms of injury protection.
Yep.
Maybe it's something like that.
Sure.
But here's the thing again, like Oklahoma City really takes care of its guys. Like, I don't think that would be, if there's pushback, like I would guess that this is not going to be a contentious negotiation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I mean, like we're already into like real, like, oh wait, what do you do here? Right? What do we talk about? So Ajay Mitchell has this like funky team option kind of vibe where, he has a $3 million team option for next season. The question for them is, do you try and sign him to a longer term deal? Or do you just like have him play on the $3 million team option next year? He's still a restricted free agent after that $3 million. The only reason to do it is if you wanted to negotiate like a longer term deal was to get him on like the sweetheart deal that, for instance, like Aaron Wiggins is on, right? Sure. Where Wiggins over the next 4 years is going to make less than $40 million. Like, if you wanted to do something like that, I'm interested in it for sure. If I'm Oklahoma City, but like that number is probably what 3 years, 16, 3 years, 18.
I was gonna say 18. 18 was the number I had.
18.
I mean, my thing with this is like, and they would have the better vibe than anybody is, what do they think of Nikola Topic? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, because if they drafted Topic, they knew it was going to be a redshirt season. If they really like him, if they really think he's going to be a dude, there may not be anything for AJ here. Now, the thing is, you get AJ on that deal, that becomes very tradable. Also, it's like, is he even in the plans to be in the rotation next year to do anything? Or do they plan on Topic taking all of those minutes in what is going to end up being his rookie season?
Yeah. I think if he was willing to agree to like a very team friendly, like 4-year deal, I would do it for Mitchell. I really like Mitchell though. Like I've always been a fan.
Sure.
So, but other than that, like I probably just have him play out the team option and then we see what we have with Topic, right? So Oklahoma City has, I believe, 14 guys signed is the reality.
No, like, I think 15's. I thought you were joking when you said 15. Right. It is.
No, I think it's 15.
It's actually 15.
Yeah, no, it's actually 15. You are right. So with it being 15, they do have 2 draft picks this year. They have number 15 and number 24. They actually have to like find an answer on this in order to figure out, okay, who do we keep? Who do we not keep?
Like, isn't this like Ousmane Dieng just ends up on another team for like he's not going to work out here. So we're going to move him on and replace him with the number 15 pick on a 4-year deal. Or do you think they keep him?
Yeah. Like if you're Sacramento and you have a trade exception, like, do you just take Ousmane Dieng as a flyer into your trade exception?
Yeah. Or like, I was thinking like Brooklyn. I don't know if Washington has a
Brooklyn's
trade.
Another good one.
If Washington has a trade exception in that range or not. But like any of those type of teams, I'm just like, to me, that makes sense. Like, okay, Ousmane didn't work. Let's move him on. You get a second round. I don't know. Would you get a second round pick for the guy? I don't know. Like
maybe
what?
Yeah.
Maybe you just move him like straight up and it's a fake second round pick. And then you open up the roster spot for the number 15 pick. And now you have the cost control on a guy for the, 4 or 5 years, whatever it is, where Ousmane is, 1 more year and then hits restricted free agency. So
1 more year, nearly $7 million for Dieng. The other thing is that, by doing this and, opening up that spot and putting the 15 overall pick in, you actually open up a little bit of distance from the tax this year as well. If you wanted to go out and get a little creative in how you do things, right? If somebody just really if something comes up where you're just like, oh yeah, we have this trade exception in season, right? I would imagine they'll take their non-taxpayer mid-level into the season, right? And we're like, okay, we can use this now and use this as like essentially a trade exception in season. If, God forbid, like Chet gets hurt again or like J-Dub gets hurt or something, and you feel like you need something that costs $14 million, you're close to being able to use the entirety of that mid-level exception as a trade exception, right? So I think getting off of Dieng would be like really actually like beneficial for them in their flexibility. And I think there would be teams that would take the flyer at least for 6 year or for $6 million for a year.
Can I throw out I have a question, and then this I think could play into like draft at number 15. Do you think that maybe they need to, if there's one thing that they could look to prioritize, obviously shooting, but
sure,
position wise, we both think Hartenstein is off this roster after next year.
Yeah.
Okay. If Kenrich Williams isn't the answer to my question, is there a little bit of a hole at the 4 position? Especially after what we saw in the playoffs where they actually, and maybe that was just a Pacers thing, but where they went away from the 2 big. And I guess I just wonder, like, Chet at the 5 long-term, do they need to find a 4? Or is J-Dub enough to play those minutes? Is Kenrich enough to play those minutes long-term? Or could that be a sneaky position archetype that they could be seeking out?
So I think the answer here is you can be flexible either way. And that's what's so brilliant about their team build and like their team building strategy to this point is that, okay, shit, Colin Murray Boyles is on the board at 13. let's trade 15 and 24 to get up to 13, or, let's trade 15 and 24 to get up to 12. Right.
Yeah.
He's a perfect guy for them. Like, he makes all the sense in the world. He could potentially play some small ball 5 moving forward. He's super smart. He's a great kid. Like, he fits everything that they look for.
Defends with physicality, right? Like, he's the ultimate Oklahoma City defender.
Ultimate Oklahoma City guy. So, like, if Murray Boyles is there at 12, I'm like, shit, let's move up. Let's go get him. Let's use these 2 picks we got. Let's consolidate and let's do it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's to me, like, that's flexible, right? Like, that's just being flexible. Or you could wait until number 15. And if Thomas Sorber is still there, you can just take Thomas Sorber. He's a 5, he's more of that kind of player. Maybe you can play Chet and, Arkansas Jalen Williams together a little bit. Maybe you can play, Chet and Kenrich Williams a little bit together, right? Kenrich, look, I would imagine Kenrich is going to be on this roster for the next 2 years, because Kenrich is a dude that they love to have around. He's a leader at this point. Like, he's a really, really good human being from everything I understand. Like, I would think that Kenny Hustle's sticking, but and maybe you find a longer term answer too.
Maybe he's the answer. The only thing I'll say is, like, if he's the answer, he played less than 10 minutes per game in the playoffs. And again, maybe I'm overcompensating for the matchup they had in the finals, where I felt like Dagnall did not trust the 2 big lineup whatsoever. I mean, he obviously didn't think it was the right one, because he went away from it in game 1. And even though he went back to it, he didn't start second halves in game 7 and maybe even game 6. He didn't start the second half with it. Now, again, maybe this is overcompensating. I mean, shoot, they went complete small ball in game 7 as well. That was kind of lost in all of the whatever conversations we had. But I'm like, okay, who's the true 4-man that can play with Chet? If when Hartenstein's gone, Chet's holding down the 5, is that a potential archetype they need to find? Maybe it is Kenrich. Maybe J-Dub can play big enough. It was just, I'm very much nitpicking, right, Sam? We hold this team to the highest standard now, and deservedly so. It's
the best. Yeah, look, it's the best front office in the league. They have this beautiful top-down synergy from ownership to front office to coaching staff to players. Like, they look, the way that this team identifies guys is just really smart. They're just really sharp about the way they go about it. Sam Presti is truly, very clearly the best guy doing this right now. It's not even a question. So that's where we sit right now. And we're trying to, nitpick on the fly almost on what they should do. Again, if I'm them, I might be trying to package 15 and 24 to go get my guy that makes the most sense.
Makes sense.
Maybe it's Sorber. Maybe it's Murray Boyles. Maybe it's Cedric Coward, right? Like, maybe they just love Cedric Coward, because here's the other thing they need too. Like, they could use another shooter, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Like, that Isaiah Joe proved that, like, he is going to struggle in the playoffs a little bit, which has always been kind of my worry about Isaiah Joe.
Sure.
And that bore itself out, right? You don't have to move Isaiah Joe, but maybe you want like a Cedric Coward who can come in and really knock down shots and be the kind of long, impactful, big wing that can play, right, in playoff settings. So there are just a number of different kind of avenues that they can explore on draft night. And oh, by the way, maybe some team really likes Isaiah Joe, and you just move, 15 and Isaiah Joe to move up to a certain spot, right? Like, and a team has a trade exception to take him into it. They just have a million different options. Like, if I told you Chicago was like, here, yeah, we'll do 15 and Isaiah Joe for 12, because they have the Herter trade exception that they got in the Levine deal, right? Not the Herter exception, the Levine exception that they took in with Herter. Like, if I told you they used $11 million on Isaiah Joe, given the way they're trying to play basketball right now, like, not out of the question to me.
No,
right?
I mean, and that's a team, like, they're not, Isaiah Joe's flaws don't show up on that team because they're not getting to the highest level. And, so it's going to be fine. And for them, they've dropped back to 15. They probably still get one of the bigs, maybe they, Sorber or Queen or somebody is going to be there for him still. So that makes sense. And again, that'd be another way to. I don't think Isaiah Joe is bad money, even though he struggled in the playoffs.
No.
Yeah. I'm just saying, like, but you would get off a little bit of money with that one as well. So
that's it. So I'm really interested to see how they go about handling this. Like, you can start planning for the future now, or you can wait until next summer, and it's totally fine to plan to wait for the future in next summer. I will say, though, this front office has generally gotten out ahead of problems as opposed to waiting. It wouldn't stun me if they were like, let's not put ourselves in a box next summer where we have to move Isaiah Joe for nothing. Let's maybe see if we can get value, right? They always tend to get value for their guys by moving early as opposed to later.
Okay. So can I ask a name then? Because I'm fascinated with this one. Lou Dort.
I think they're 1 year away from that. I don't think they do that this year.
Okay. Because by Spot Track, he's extension eligible. He's on the books for 18-2 next year, club option the year after that. Like, he's always and I love Lou Dort. I mean, love Lou Dort. And it doesn't seem like that they would move a guy that's all defense caliber. But we know how good this team is defensively and how many defenders they have. Like, I wonder if they feel like they have the succession plan and, like you said, get out in front of it, because I think on 18.2 with the team option, that's a really valuable contract. As opposed, if you wait, does he become a little less valuable because that team now knows, hey, we're the one that's going to have to extend and pay him and all of that. So just an interesting name. I don't think so either, but just an interesting name.
It's an interesting name worth bringing up, but I think we're a year away from that because they still have another year with him. Yeah. They don't have to get rid of him, right? And like, I don't think that the leverage, unless he gets hurt or something, like the leverage doesn't go away with Lou Dort. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So yeah, I think we're in a positive position there with him. And he's like he's a necessity for me if they're going to try and repeat. Like, Isaiah Joe is not a necessity. Lou Dort is kind of a necessity for them if they're trying.
I agree. I think it would be crazy. It just so.
Yeah. I mean, other draft names, do you want to talk through? I mean, if 24, you're looking at stashes, if you keep it, like Hugo Gonzalez, Noah Penda, maybe a Ben Saroff, somebody like that wouldn't blow my mind.
Sure.
At 15, again, I'm probably looking big because that's a really good spot. If Baron J was to fall, like, that's a great name for them. I'd be surprised if he gets there at this point. But like, if he does, Oklahoma City should take him. They have the exact kind of situation that can get him to thrive long term. Sorber makes a ton of sense. I think Sorber, makes sense. 15, 17, one of those two spots, I would guess, is where he ends up.
Danny Wolf is a name that's gets Danny Wolf a lot.
We've brought up Danny Wolf a lot. I think Danny Wolf makes a ton of sense in Oklahoma City just because they love the dribble pass shoot bigs. Yeah, that's where we're at, I think.
Yep.
So, okay. Honestly, again, we apologized in advance. We knew that this was not going to go long. It's just that there is not a lot to talk about with this team. It's making moves on the margins, financial flexibility, doing the Chet and J-Dub extensions. I mean, look, like, I guess that we can bring up, they have a lot of other extension eligible players. Lou Dort is extension eligible. You brought that up. I think you probably, maybe you extend him and you just say, look, we're moving you next summer, but we'll get you your money now.
Sure.
Kind of thing. Like, the other way that they could do the Lou Dort extension is like, what's 140 of 18, right? 18 times 1.4 is, just say like, hey, we'll do 4 years, 100 for Lou Dort. And then we'll tell Lou right now, look, if we do this, we're making sure you get your money now, but you're probably not on the team next year, is the reality. Like, how do you want to approach this kind of thing for us and for you? Like, what are you thinking? The thing is that they tend to be, from what I understand, very honest with their players, right? So you can decline the team option on Lou Dort and do the extension now, and maybe just tell them like, hey, look, this is probably a last hurrah, right? We love you. We would love to keep you, but it's just going to get really hard financially. And I don't know about you. I think Lou Dort on 400 is still a great deal for Lou Dort, probably.
Yeah, I mean, I love Lou Dort. So, I mean, I'm quite, again, all defense level player. What did he shoot from three in the regular season? I know in the playoffs, it went down to 34%. But in the regular season, 41% from three. So huge Lou Dort fan. It's just, I agree with everything we said with the extensions and Chet and J-Dub. It's just like that does get expensive. And SGA is going to come up on a new contract as well. So eventually you have to make hard decisions and you have to the reason this flexibility and these draft picks and the smart decision making, all of that matters, is so you have players ready to take those roles when you have to make tough financial decisions. And it may not be there yet, but they're getting close to where some of that stuff is going to happen, Sam.
The more I think about it, I would not be surprised if they do a Dort extension and just like take care of their guy. You know what I mean? Knowing that the trade value is going to be there, right? If you decline the team option and you just say, look, we're adding 4 more years, we're just taking care of our guy and, we'll figure it out later. That wouldn't blow my mind at all. Sure. I don't think. And then Jalen Williams, Arkansas Jalen Williams is also extension eligible this year. Like, we'll see what that is, I think, because you can have him for a cheap $3 million next year, or you can turn down the team option and extend. I mean, I would guess he gets $7-8 million on the market, right?
Yeah. I mean, he's a good player. Backup big.
Yeah. Like a really good backup big. He probably gets $7 or $8 million. He's a little undersized, obviously, but like can shoot it a little bit, obviously. Just a really good passer and decision maker for a big. Tough, physical, strong. Seems like a great dude to have around. Like, that guy probably gets $8 million a year from somebody. So is Oklahoma City the team that should pay it? It's a question to me. They're going to have to make hard decisions, but
I mean, that's what, like, I think people are going to get attached to these names, but it's either some of these guys go, or you just keep kicking the can down the road with the first round picks, right? Because I mean, literally somebody has to come off the roster if they're going to draft somebody in the first round. So if you're excited about these names in the first round at 15 or 24 or whatever, trading up, then one of these guys we've brought up has to end up off the roster next year. So
yeah, that's right. Look, Bryce, we went 27 minutes. We stretched out 27 minutes with a team that has like nothing to do this summer, basically. So I feel good about what we did here. We did not shortchange our beautiful Oklahoma City fans who have supported us through thick and thin over the years. We appreciate them immensely as we have been early adopters of the Thunder project here on the Game Theory podcast. So Bryce, tell the people where they can find your work. Tell the people what's going on.
Yeah. At Motor City Hoops on Twitter, on Blue Sky. The Substack has a bunch of video breakdowns of NBA draft prospects and potential free agents, trade candidates. Not sure all of that as, the trade candidate offseason stuff, but the draft prospect stuff may be interesting for Thunder fans. This is Pulse Podcast, otherwise Game Theory Podcast with the Sam Vecenie, now on our way, because we probably have passed 50K to 100,000 subscribers. Yeah. So if all 50,000 of you that are active and watching every episode, tell one friend to subscribe, we'll hit 100K in no time.
That's very true, actually. That is a very, very true statement. Go to The Athletic, keep me employed over there. We love doing the show, and I also love working over at The Athletic. It's a great show and a great place to work as well over there. So thank you all for hanging out for all of these videos. This is the 30th one we've recorded. We appreciate you guys immensely for all of the support you've given us as we've done these shows. We will be back in the off season and obviously with the draft. We will be live for draft day, but we will be back in the off season with a whole lot more content as we go through. So until next time, we'll talk soon. Bye.